Hey, Dave here, hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're going to be going over modal interchange. I'll be explaining what modal interchange is for you, and then I'll be going over 5 different examples of modal interchange that will inspire you and will help you understand what modal interchange is so that you can use it in your own compositions. So modal interchange is a really cool way that we can use non-diatonic chords, non-diatonic meaning not in the key, to spice up our chord progression. And we do this by borrowing chords from a parallel key modality. So what does a parallel mode or modality or parallel key mean? That just basically means that it has the same tonic. So for example, C major and C Dorian would be parallel modes. Implementing modal interchange into your chord progressions gives your music a cool flavor and adds an emotional spike to the song that you're writing, and can be really, really effective when done well. So let's jump into the examples where I'll explain how modal interchange works and you can see it in action for yourself. Enjoy. Alright, so our first example there was in the key of E major. Now let's run over the chords quickly. We had our 1 chord, which is an E major. We had our 5 chord, which is a B major. Then we had our 4 chord, which is an A major. Then we have an A minor chord, which is our borrowed chord. Now, a few things you need to know. First of all, we established the key that we're in, first of all, so we were clearly playing an E major. That's really important. With modal interchange, you want to let the listener know what key you're in before implementing any non-diatonic chords. So we're in E major, playing 1, 5, 4, and then the borrowed chord is the 4th chord from E minor, which is A minor. This is a very popular modal interchange chord to use, the minor 4 chord. So let's jump into exercise number 2, where I give you another popular example. So this example takes the 2nd chord of C minor, which is a D minor 7 flat 5 chord, and adding that into our C major chord progression. One other thing you need to know about modal interchange is that we are not changing key. Our modal interchange chords should be kind of short. They shouldn't last too long, a bar max. There's no rules to this, but that's generally what works. Keeping the modal interchange chords quick will create that emotional high, and then you can bring things back and make things sound normal again. So let's take a look at number 3. Now this third example borrows from the C minor scale again. Our chord progression is in the key of C major, and we're borrowing from C minor, and it is the 7th chord of C minor, which is a dominant chord. And this dominant chord really sounds great as an 11th chord, which I've done in this example. So I play the 1, which is the C major, the 4, which is F, and I've played it as an F6, and then this dominant chord, which is our B flat 11 chord, back to the C major chord. So that is the 3rd example. Let's move on to the 4th example. This example, we are taking the 6th chord of C minor and we're adding it to a C major chord progression. And that chord is a flat major 7 right there. That A flat major 7 leads really well into your dominant chord of your major key. So instead of playing a 1 to a 5, you could add that modal interchange chord in just before you hit your dominant chord, and it's quite a cool, spicy sounding transition. So that's another thing for you to experiment with. Let's take a look at our final example now. We are borrowing a chord from C Phrygian this time. So we're borrowing the second chord of C Phrygian and implementing it into a C major chord progression. This D flat major 7 resolves really nicely into the C chord. So that is another thing for you to experiment with. And all of these examples have been with major keys and implementing chords from the parallel modes of these major keys. But you can also do this with a minor chord progression. If you had a minor chord progression, you could borrow from the parallel modes of that minor key. So for example, if you had an A minor chord progression, you could borrow from A Dorian, or you could borrow from A Phrygian, or any of the A scales. Now, one more thing you need to note with modal interchange is soloing or playing melodies over the top. So if you're borrowing a chord from C Phrygian, then you would play C Phrygian over that particular chord. And then if the original chord progression was in C major, when we go back into the C major diatonic chords, then you would play the C major scale on top of that. So you basically just play the scale that you're taking the chord from, and you'll be fine. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know how you get on with everything in the comments. Do you have any more examples of modal interchange that work really well? Please let me know, I'd love to hear them. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the video too, and I will see you in the next one.